What are we doing today other than recording again and again and again?
Juggling chainsaws and bowling balls.
Okay. Keep your balls away from me.
And keep your chainsaws away from me.
Oh, I will. They're more dangerous than your balls.
Whatever.
Tiny little balls.
Yeah.
I'm John.
I'm Mike.
And this is Lyrical Laxatives.
Welcome to today's episode.
Yes, once again, we had recording issues.
As
Frustrating
usual.
beyond belief. But we march on, just like everyone else who struggled throughout history.
I'm
And we're making history here, people.
gonna put the odds at 50-50 that we have to re-record this episode.
Yeah, along with the other ones, so we screwed up. It's getting frustrating, folks. But anyway, back to the lighter side of life. Throw down a drink and move on.
Yes, today this episode is influenced for me by Genesee Springbok Bach from Genesee Brewing Company here in Rochester, New York.
I think that's influenced his last couple of recordings.
It is. It's
He doesn't like change, folks.
No, it's a special edition seasonal springtime beer. So it's only out for a few months. So
It's not spring, you know.
No, but
So it's fake advertising and fake news.
oh, shut the fuck up with that. So I got to take advantage of drinking it when it's out for the short amount of time. Just like when summertime comes around and Jenny starts talking about, or they have their Jenny grapefruit cold shout. It's awesome. You got to get it while it's
Only when
while
it's cold. It's only good when it's
Well,
cold.
yeah, it's not very good when it
Sucks when it's
warm.
Yeah, so I'm drinking Yingling Lager, the traditional Pennsylvania ale. I've been drinking honey whiskey, Fireball, and other stuff. But yeah, I'm drinking ale now, and I'll probably move on to something more exciting later on, folks. I don't know why I keep saying folks. It's getting annoying. So, what was that noise?
There was a little carbonation in my throat. You can hear that?
Little lion living down in your throat. You got a whole village down there.
I do.
All right, so I'm going to throw a question out. We're going to answer it. Mike and I are going to take turns answering what we think answers are to this question. It's our new beginner to our episodes, and it's exciting and adventurous. So
You never know what you're going to learn about.
no,
us
you
with
don't.
these.
You don't know what you're going to learn about us with the topics either. I mean, yeah, it's all up in the air. All right, you ready, Mike?
I'm ready, John.
All right, there we go. Generate the random question. Would you rather look like a potato or feel like a potato? So, would you rather look like a potato or feel like a potato?
Well, I mean, I guess
Look like a potato.
it depends. Do you feel like mashed potatoes, or are you hard and almost unpenetrable as just a raw potato?
Would you rather look like a potato or feel like a potato? I think I'd rather feel like a potato.
Yeah, potatoes are kind of ugly looking.
They are ugly. They got a lot of
vegetables,
eyeballs.
Yeah.
You know, little eyes. And they're just dirty, and unless it's a peeled potato, you look a little cleaner.
Yeah, but you still got all sorts of funky dents and divots and weird things sticking out of you.
Well, you do anyway.
True. And I was able to find a wife. I was able to bamboozle her, and
She like the extra dents.
no, I got her to settle on me.
So I guess the question is, would you rather look like or feel like a potato?
I'm gonna feel like one.
Yeah, I feel like a potato right now because they sound delicious. I'd like a potato right now. No, I definitely feel like a potato. They are hard.
Yeah.
Unless they get soft and
Unless
old
you,
and
you
wrinkly.
boil them they go bad.
They go spongy.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how we feel sometimes, especially
of the
after
time.
losing some recordings. It makes me feel spongy.
Spongy. Huh?
Spongy. Yeah, so that's
That's the question of
that's
the
the
day.
question of the day. You never know what we're gonna get, and it's exciting all the time.
Yes.
So,
I
good one.
know that all of our listeners wanted to know if we wanted
wanted
to
to-
look or feel like a potato.
yeah, I mean, who doesn't? Who doesn't ask themselves that? Who doesn't wake up in the morning and think, man, do I look like a potato or do I feel like a potato? I kind of feel like a potato.
Although Mr. Potato pulled off a good look
Yeah, Mr. Potato from Toy Story or Mr. Potato in general?
in general, and from Toy Story.
Okay, maybe, but he turned into chips. So.
Yeah, but he was
French fries.
he was a handsome fella.
Yeah, but I don't know. What do you think of Mrs. Potato?
She was a looker for a potato.
If you look like a potato, maybe.
Throw a little.
Maybe if that's the kind of thing you liked.
If you're a sour cream person, throw a little bit of that on her face and.
Throw some chives at her.
Yeah. And,
Hot mama.
Yeah.
Melt some cheese over her.
You never know what you're getting. You could have something really special there.
What do you want to do tonight? Oh, I'm going to shave my skin off. Sit in a boiling tub of hot oil.
I'm going to pick all the eyes off myself.
I'm tan in the oil. Oh, my God. Okay. So I think we
covered
beat that one up. But that's good.
So we've got an exciting topic today.
Yeah, I mean, I'm surprised. It's a very surprising topic because I didn't think this was in Mike's wheelhouse.
Yes, this was a topic I picked.
Yeah, surprisingly. So, hey, Mike, spotlight's on you again. What are you going to talk about?
All-time greatest video games.
All right. So, where do you want to begin?
Well, I'll just, I'll give a little backstory where I'm coming from with these games. So for myself, I chose 3 games that sort of were different ages of my life. The first game will be representative of my elementary school years, with Nintendo and everything. My second game will be one that was played a lot in my teenage years, early 20s, and still play it occasionally. And the third game that I picked is one that I played in my late 20s, early 30s. So, obviously a game from as an adult, but I think that they are 3 games that, fun games and some of the better games for their time that were out.
Okay. Sounds intriguing. I certainly have an awful lot to add, but I don't want to take Mike's thunder.
Yeah, but how many games did you pick?
I picked. I don't actually want to get into that yet because I approached this topic differently. I guess I will get into it. So I approached this topic from the standpoint of the gaming system. There are just so many different gaming systems, and each one in their own right has its own benefits and memories to me. So I started with the earliest gaming system that I had, went all the way through to the latest, which is like the Xbox Xbox One X. There's games throughout all the different gaming systems that I played that bring great memories to me. Even all the way back before we had a gaming system to the arcade games, such as and starting with at 25 cents in rands, 25 cents a pop. No, it was 20 cents. 20 cents a pop because 20 cents was the coinage. Was Slap Fight. Slap Fight was one of the most exciting games that I can remember from back in the day, which was a space kind of invaded, not Space Invader, but spaceship type game where you collected stars and you could expand your weaponry, and it was a lot of fun. I used to sneak down the road, or not sneak down the road. I'd walk to the local store, which was probably about 10 minutes walk from my house. Go down a hill and up a hill and arrive at this store, and I'd play this game. And I would use my couple of 20 cents coins that I had taken from my parents, and then when I ran out of 20 cents coins, I'd beg the shopkeeper for 20 cent coins until he gave me one to shut me up. And I'd play that, and Anyway, that was that. Yeah,
That's
that
pretty
was the
funny.
beginning of the beginning of my gaming world. Actually, there was an earlier gaming system that I played before that, but I'll let Mike run with it from now, and then really get into it once I blow his brains out with my gaming knowledge.
All right. Well, you want me to list all three of mine?
Why not? Let's expose your truths already.
All right.
Expose your wilds.
So the first game that I have, like I said, this takes me back to my youth, about maybe second, third, fourth grade. It was on the original Nintendo system, and the game was Mike Tyson Punch Out,
Okay.
a game that you probably did not play.
So I didn't actually play that. No, but I am very familiar with that game. In fact, Melanie, my wife, is very familiar with that game, and her and I believe her brother played it quite a bit. Her brother's more so.
Did you say you played it with him?
I didn't play it. No,
She did.
she did, or at least that's where I heard about it from. I may have played it at some time or seen it before, but that particular game never really interested me.
It was one of the first great boxing games.
Oh yeah. You had to have a strategy and on how to beat
yeah.
each character, and
Yeah, I mean-
it is a very popular game because it's very well known.
Yeah, I mean, you had your first. You were Lil Mac was your name.
Yeah, pitchy.
Yeah, and you had your first boxer that you fought in the minor circuits was Glass Joe,
Yes,
and he had you just
you were
hit him.
in the bottom of the screen, and they
Yep.
were all big in the top of the screen, and you would have to either punch left or right or uppercut or move away.
Right, and each fighter that you advanced to had different ways. Like he had King Hippo. I remember if you punched him in his stomach enough times at a certain time, you'd catch him, and his pants would fall down. He'd bend over, pick up his pants. You'd punch him again, his pants would fall down. You had Piston Honda was another one. It was just it was just a game that was so much fun to play, and it wasn't.
On Nintendo, the original Nintendo.
Yeah,
with
the original Nintendo.
Square controllers.
Yep,
and the
AB button and
Yep,
start
and
and
the
select.
bumpers on the top.
No, it didn't have any bumpers on the top.
Okay.
This was
You would
just
slide the controllers into the device itself.
no.
Yeah, the controllers would be connected to the device. You put the game cartridge into the controller, into the machine.
And it would
And then
go
you-
in,
when
push
you're
down,
finished-
you'd close the door.
When you had finished, you would slide the controllers from the thing into
No.
the sides of the
Nope,
console.
nope.
Okay, then maybe you had a newer one.
I had the original Nintendo.
Wireless,
No, it had wires
Okay.
for the controllers.
and the controllers didn't slide into the console.
No,
Huh.
they were just
Pity.
you just
That was
put them there.
convenient.
No, these didn't slide
Maybe
anywhere.
maybe they did, and you just didn't realize it.
No, there was nowhere to slide them.
Yeah.
Um,
Anyway,
But I remember my friends and I playing that game for hours on end, just trying to get past each guy until you finally get to the almighty Mike Tyson, and
Right.
But it was at the same time you had all those different cheat codes you could get on
Yep.
from the different magazines you had to go buy and all this, and it had all the AB upright left right A, and that was the code for the knockout punch and shit like that. So I thought that game was a blast to play.
yeah. No, I'm not going to knock that because I know how popular that game was. I know it had a huge following. And it was a very, very well-known game. I personally didn't play it, but
Because you don't like sports.
no, it wasn't anything to do with that. I mean, one of the few games that I remember from PC was the Olympics or something like that. It was World of Sports or something where you.
Oh,
would,
the wide world of sports.
I don't
or
think it
whatever.
was that. It was something simple, and you would play and you would use like two characters, two keyboard letters to make the person run, and then hit spacebar to jump. And there were a number of different things. But that wasn't one of my favorite games. But that's one of the games I remember, and because it stood out because it was a good game. Yeah, no, I think that was a good game. The first game I remember on Nintendo was probably.
Probably Super Mario
Oh
Brothers.
no! So that's one of my top games for,
Yeah,
for Nintendo.
that is a top game.
So and I'll get into my favorite games in a little bit, but Mario was definitely one of the top. The first game that I actually played on Nintendo was that movie with Sean Astin and
Goonies.
The Goonies was a fantastic game. It was fun. It was not on my list. I think Mario's above it, but it was the first game I played on Nintendo. I actually bought that as a gift to my brother. I had hidden it in a box, and he opened the box, and it was empty, and I had put a secret compartment at the bottom, and he opened the secret compartment and found that game for his new Nintendo system that he got. And that was fun. That was a really good game, good for Nintendo. So I don't know if you want to get into other games before I really dig into this a lot, or if you want me to go into.
Well, I'll just do my other two.
Okay, yeah.
Quick.
Okay.
My second game that is from like my teenage years into early 20s. And like I said, I still play the game. I can't remember what console I first played it on. I believe it was Sega.
Samantha Fox Strip Poker.
Yeah, right. It was all seasons of Madden football.
Oh, okay.
Which I know you've never played.
Yeah.
But this is the all-time franchise football game for video games. It's just it's a great game.
You're selling it, Mike.
It's put together well. Mm-hmm. The interaction that you can have with building your own team, building your own players, going into the various modes where you're an owner or you're just the coach, and
paying exorbitant amounts of money.
Oh yeah, here we go. Oh, woe's me. I'm butthurt because athletes make a lot of money. But no, it was and still is one of the greatest video games that has ever come out.
No, I disagree with that. And obviously for the sports,
right. And that's why
never interested me. And I can disagree with it because it hasn't interested me.
And that's why I'm not gonna stay on that game very long, because I know the argument from you. There's not going to be. You're just going to think it's a dumb game because you never played it.
Well, no. I mean, I've played sports games before, and I've enjoyed sports games. I've played tennis games. I've played cricket games. I've played football games, American football games, and I've what is it? I forget. Maybe it was Madden. But
I mean, if you played a football game on a video game, it was likely to be Madden.
Well, it might have been. But either way, I've played a lot of different sports games, and I haven't hated them because they're sports. I've loved sports. I played a lot of sports in school. I love sports. I hate the monetary impact.
We're not.
I know we're not
talking
talking about that.
That's video games.
Yes, so we can't apply my hatred for that particular aspect of sports to video games. The fact that you like Madden is fine. I enjoyed playing sports games because they're fun. In fact, a soccer game, which you would hate the fact that I say a soccer game because your hatred for soccer.
I do hate soccer, but yeah. I do play some soccer. I have played FIFA.
There was a very simple soccer game that I would laugh my brains out at with my buddy. And it was a 2-player game, and it was just so simple, but it was just a lot of fun. Just kicking a ball around on screen against each other. It was just fun how things would happen on. Madden, the fact that you like Madden is fine. I'm not going to say that it's not a good game. It may have been a good game. It's just not.
It's gotten better.
It wasn't my type of game.
I know. And again, that's why I'm not going to dwell on it, because.
And the fact that it's gotten better, that's what I'm going to cover as part of that. The fact that games have gotten better. Anyway, we'll get into that in a bit.
So, my last game that I picked was. One that is, like I said, from my late 20s, early 30s is when I first played it. And this is one I'm willing to bet that you've played it. However, I don't know how you feel about it.
Okay.
Guitar Hero.
Oh, I played that. Yeah.
It's such a fucking
Oh
blast.
no. What was the one with the complete set of instruments? Not
Rock
just
Band.
Rock Band. Okay, that's the one I played. I played guitar.
Actually, Guitar Hero might have expanded out to that.
Yes, it did. Guitar Hero was first, and then Rock Band came along.
Yes.
And Rock Band was by far way better than Guitar Hero. And you can argue this with
I've
me.
never played Rock Band, so I can't argue it.
You had the drums, you had the microphone, you had the guitar, you had the bass. But I'll let you finish, and then I'll get into it.
No, you won't.
No, go ahead and talk about
okay.
it. Go ahead and explain why you like it.
It's, you got Tom Morello and Slash are the two like boss guys on the game and everything. You got great songs. The Devil Goes Down to Georgia. You got Barracuda, and it's Foghat with Slow Ride. No, take it easy. But
please don't sing again.
I'll lose our one
Yeah,
listener.
we're down to one. We're down to one.
Yeah, and that's Ashley.
She's hanging in there.
Yeah. No, but that was just a game that you could just get up and start jamming out to, and it's just plain fun. I remember when I had first got that game, I was playing it on, I want to say it was Xbox.
PlayStation?
Oh, no, you know what it was on? It was on Nintendo Wii.
Okay.
And I think it was, I'm almost positive it was before Brady and I had Aiden. But I'd get up like on a weekend morning and it'd be, 8:00 or whatever. And then she's still up in bed sleeping, but I'm downstairs playing Guitar Hero, and she'd get all upset with me because I would wake her up because all she could hear was me hitting the buttons and, the little thing for that would be the strings and everything. And
Strumming.
yeah, she'd come down. Do you really have to play this early in the morning? It's like, it's so much fun. I can't stop.
Can't stop strumming this banjo.
Yeah, but I mean, I would break a sweat playing the game. But it's just one of those games. It's so fun to play. You can feel like a guitar hero in your own living room.
So, man, there's so many different ways I can go from this.
You can just agree with me that all my games are the best.
No. So that I agree with it. That game is fun, but from a Rock Band perspective. So let me start with the Rock Band because that was an awesome game. The fact that you could do drums and all the other instruments as well made it a lot more inclusive with your buddies. We actually took that.
I do feel like, again, like I said, I think Rock Band had the whole band set up first, but I do think Guitar Hero came out with their own set of drums and bass and microphone.
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
No. I think Rock Band was because it was a band set up. Guitar Hero was purely guitar.
Okay.
I might be wrong, but that's my understanding. So with Rock Band, we would bring that to my work when I worked in an office nearby. Friday nights, we'd bring that in. We'd have beers. We'd have our office manager jamming along with us, singing. Somebody would sing, and somebody would drum, and somebody would guitar, and we would have the best friggin' nights.
Oh yeah.
Drinking beer and eating and playing music together. It was just an awesome time. No complaints there. Rock Band was good. It was a great, all-inclusive, fun.
Absolutely.
Just jamming along and trying to get the top score. Not one of my top games, but definitely a good game.
It's a great it's a great game for a group of people, in a sense.
Well, Rock Band, yes. Guitar Hero is a little less inclusive, but it is a good game.
Yeah,
it's fun to watch other people play it.
Yes, that's what I was just trying to get at.
I saw you were trying to get to that, so I helped you out.
Yeah, even if you're
just like in Rock Band,
even if you're the observer, it's still fun to watch your buddy, either nailing it or just completely screwing the pooch on what he's doing.
Yeah, it's fun to see people struggle when they get to those notes that are
exactly
crazy to push,
or hold it down while you're still hitting these other two notes.
Yeah, and you then try and show them up when it's your turn. It's definitely I've got no argument with that. But once again, I mean, that's not my top pick of games. But with that said, now you've covered your top 3 games.
Yep.
which is lackluster choice of games. But
Whatever.
to each his own. So with that said, video games are there's so many different factors to video games. I know you had a lot of notes. I don't think you covered all your notes.
No, by no means. Most of my notes are about all the different boxers in Mike Tyson's Punch Out. And I had a list of all the different songs
Oh my god.
that were on Garage Hero
there's
or
tons of
Guitar Hero 3. The version that I played, I had all the songs.
Rock Band, we had tons of them. We had bought a lot of them, and they're just gone now. It's so sad. It's such a waste of money, but it was fun. It was fun while we had it. So games themselves, you looking at games nowadays, even from Rock Band and from Guitar Hero and all that era, during that era and the current era, it's incredibly difficult to say there is any one particular game that is on top of every other game. It all depends on what type of game you like playing.
I would agree, 100%.
Choosing you could be a Call of Duty person, you could be a Fortnite person, you could say any one of those games is your favorite. But there are so many games out there right now that are catered towards a certain taste. It's so incredibly hard to say there's any one particular game is better than the other.
I would say that's a fair evaluation. I would say that, when I say all-time greatest video games, it's, for me at least, it's not limited to these three that I just named.
Oh, right.
In my opinion, those three would
in your life, that's what was
would be
impacted.
in my list of all-time greatest games. I mean, Contra was a great game. Double Dragon was a great game.
Double Dragon was great. I played that.
Yeah,
the arcade. Yeah,
right. Grand Theft Auto is so much fun, and so there's plenty of other games that I could throw into this conversation, but those were just the three that. Because I decided I wanted to do one from my youth, one from my teens, and then one as an adult.
Okay. So with what I just said about it, nowadays it's really hard to pick a particular game. You go back a couple of years before that, when game systems were less common, less competitive, it gets a little easier to pick games. And going even further back, it gets even easier. So with that being said as well, I've had experience with a lot of different video game systems. I'm by no means a gamer. I've just enjoyed playing video games.
Sure. Yeah, I'm not
once
a gamer either.
Yeah, no. So the term gamer itself could be reclassified nowadays as somebody who gets paid to actually enjoy playing video games, or gets paid to play video games and it does very well. Back in the day, somebody who played video games was not necessarily called a gamer, but they just enjoyed playing video games.
They were called vidiots. That's what my dad would call me. Quit being a vidiot and go outside.
So I already talked about the arcade game Slap Fight, which was probably one of my top favorites. Golden Axe.
Oh, yeah.
Golden Axe was huge.
Yeah.
That was awesome. The fact that you could choose like 3 different characters and then kick those stupid money-stealing elves or dwarves or whatever they were.
Go ahead. I was going to throw in the other video game that was a lot of fun, Golden Tee.
I don't know that one.
Oh, that's the golf one where you got
you got to roll the ball.
Yeah, you got the ball, so you get all your momentum and you're trying to shoot that thing. And
for a non-golfer, that's interesting. That's
that was a fun game because it was how far can you hit that damn ball, but you had to hit
it perfectly straight.
Yeah, you had to hit that thing perfect. Otherwise, man,
I think I played that once or twice. I didn't.
More than likely, it's not an easy game to play.
Oh, I know
they're definitely skilled to it.
Yeah, I know the game. You could plug your card in if you were a professional and
probably
keep your scores going anyway.
Sorry to interrupt you. Go on.
No, that's okay. So arcade games, Golden Axe, but particularly Slap Fight was one of my favorites. Even before that, we had this game system called the Spectrum, which was you used a cassette tape to load video games into it. You plug that into your cassette, you turn it on, it has the flashing lights as it loads the game. The games were tiny, but they were entertaining.
Was this just a South African
system?
system?
No, this was a UK system.
Okay.
it's called the Spectrum 128K or 64K. And there were a number of good games on that, and I'll mention them, but you will have no understanding of what they were.
Not likely.
So there's Manic Miner, Jet Set Willy, Attic Attack, Ant Attack. A bunch of very simple games. Probably the most entertaining one there was Jet Set Willy, which I knew would tickle your fancy.
Jet Set Willy.
Jet Set Willy. You were I think a plumber, and your wife was mad at you because you had to go and fix the plumbing. The graphics were terrible. I mean, terrible. They were fun.
Was it the precursor to Super Mario Brothers being plumbers?
It was a side scroller, so you would walk along sideways and you would jump and duck and avoid. You'd have screens, and each screen you'd go into, you'd have to complete a bunch of different steps to get to the next screen. So kind of like Mario Brothers, but Mario Brothers was a scroller. This was a one screen at a time type thing. And it was a lot of fun. The music was great. I can still remember the music to this day because...
How's it go?
I'm not going to...
Come on, hum it. You just hummed, If I Were a Rich Man.
Yes, exactly. That's the music they used. That's exactly.
You played the Fiddler on the Roof video game.
So that was the Jet Set Willy. That was great. Spectrum... if you didn't put the tape in, or if the tape had some issues, the game wouldn't load properly and it would drive you up the wall. Next system was, and because there's so many different genres and because there's so many different game systems and everything, you kind of have to break it up into that because you can't compare them from genre and game system to next game system without looking at each game system's game options. So the next game system was the PC. The PC would, I mean, there's such a broad range on the PC there, but there were some particular games that stood out on the PC, and these were games like Space Quest, King's Quest, and Leisure Suit Larry, which was really good. I don't know if you have any.
I don't know experience. Any of those, especially with Leisure Suit Larry.
Leisure Suit Larry. Leisure Suit Larry.
Leisure Suit Larry.
Leisure Suit Larry was the adult version of this
Jetson
this type
Willy
of game.
Or Jet Set
No,
Willy?
no. So this was these were all point and click games where you click on a specific point and the character would walk to that area, and then you could type look or it was a point and click and typing game. And then you would get points for doing certain things, and ultimately you'd go through this story-driven game and trying to finish it with all the puzzles you had to get through, and making sure you looked at all the different pieces of the boards and whatever, different screens. They were great. They were a lot of fun. You needed a lot of thought process, and those were fun. So that was the early PC games. Obviously nowadays the PC games are comparable to or even better than the console games. But
now, how old were you when you were playing these PC games?
That was that was probably 7.
You guys had a PC in your house when you were that young?
Yeah, my dad got one for work.
Okay.
And
I mean, the thing had to be as big as a fucking desk.
It was big. It was one of the CRT monitors. It had a 20 megabyte hard drive, and that was amazing for that day. And it had a CGA monitor which had 4 colors on it.
Did it had a tractor feed printer too?
We did. We had a dot matrix printer.
That's what our first one was too.
It was quite impressive. And probably like 100 or 256 meg of memory. Really impressive. But yeah, so we played these games with 4 colors on them. We were jealous of our friends who had the EGA graphics, which was 16 colors. And we were driven by the idea that, man, can you imagine what it would be like to have more colors than that on your screen? The future is going to be amazing. But the number of games on the PC, I mean, it's just grown exponentially, and the quality of the games and the different genres of games, it's just almost impossible to decide or to to pick a game that's particularly better than the other one. Depends on what type of games you like.
Sure, and the genre of games, like you were just saying. I mean, it's through the roof with how many different types of games that there are.
Right, right. So going on from that, I mean, obviously the next systems, Nintendo. I picked Mario. Mario was fantastic.
I mean,
you can't knock Mario.
Yeah, Mario. I feel
The original Mario.
correct. That was in my opinion, that was the first video game that was accessible to the most amount of people.
Right. I mean, you could play it on arcade. You could play it on game system.
No, I mean, I know you could argue a game like Pong as a top game, but
Not necessarily a top game, just the first game.
sure. But I feel like everybody has played. Everybody of a certain age has played Super Mario Brothers.
Right.
I think if you're, at least right now, if you're say 46 to 20? Nah, maybe not 20. 28. That age range, I'm willing to say,
Range.
yeah, vast majority of those people have played Super Mario Brothers.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about Mario, everyone's going to know what Mario is.
Yeah.
Just like everyone knows what Pokemon is right now. It's not quite as... I think Mario has more impact, more memory than Pokemon, but people know what Pokemon is,
Right.
like Mario. So that's Nintendo. I think even before that, we could go back to the old...
Atari.
Exactly. Everyone has, not everyone, but just about everyone has flown an aeroplane and switched over to the 3 aeroplanes and switched over to the tanks and had your tanks shoot straight bullets or shoot bouncing bullets.
Absolutely.
Those games were fantastic.
There was a boxing game for Atari that I used to play. One of my dad's friends had Atari, so when we would ever go over to their house to hang out at night, I'm like, can I play the boxing game? I was a kid.
Yeah.
And, it was like the graphics were awful.
Yeah, just blocks.
Yeah, it was just a square head with, these dot matrix type arms that came off and these blocks for fists. And, it was terrible, but it was so much fun when I was, 6.
Yes. My uncle had the Atari, and every time we went over there, it would be like, "What can we play? Can we play?" Yeah. And he always had the newer games, and it was that. But that particular game with the tanks and the airplanes, and you could switch over. You could have clouds or no clouds.
That game was a blast.
You'd shoot and have the bullets go through the screen to the next side of the screen. That was in terms of Atari, that was one of my top games. But then, so move on PC. There's so many games, so many good games, but definitely one of the ones that really I remember growing up were the point and click Sierra games. The Space Quest was probably one of my top ones. Moving on to Xbox, I have to say Halo is one of the top games that I played. Just because it had such a great story. I just really enjoyed it. There's other games that are really good too, but Halo was one of the ones that I can really remember.
Now, see, I tried playing Hollow.
Hello.
How much have I had to drink tonight? Jeez. Halo with Colin, and I think it was Joe.
But it wasn't the original Halo. It was probably one of the newer versions.
Yeah, some form of it. Them sons of bitches would take off running, and I'd take one step and I'm shot and dead. And I'm respawning every 5 seconds.
Yeah, look, I'm not talking multiplayer. I'm talking story-driven video games where you solo story. But once again, that's another whole genre that you can look at is multiplayer games compared to solo games. I'm particularly talking about solo games. I've always been a solo game player.
It's just because you didn't have friends to play with, so you had no choice.
Yes, and when I did play online, those 5 and 6 year olds beat me, so I didn't want to play with them.
As they still do when you go online.
They do.
And play.
That's why I don't play anymore online. But yeah, no, that's if you're playing on Halo and stuff, it's different when you're playing the story driven game. The original game, which is dated now, and you look at it now, it's not good. But back in the day, it was a good game. It was entertaining, and I I initially didn't like it, and then when I finished the game, it became one of my top games. Just because it was so entertaining, and so it was just a great story.
Here's an interesting question that just popped up in my head.
How long can earthworms grow?
Yeah, and which end is their head? But no, if a game is only accessible by a PC, does that still make it a video game?
If a game is only accessible by a PC,
You cannot play it on any
a
other
console?
consoles. It's just a PC game.
I don't know. Well, no, it's not. It's still a video game.
My example is World of Warcraft.
Why wouldn't it be a video game?
I'm just curious if that is still considered a video game.
Video games originated from PC.
For PCs, I know, but I didn't know if, again, because like I said, I'm not a gamer. I'm not hip to the fact if gamers look down on a kid playing on a PC or anything.
Yeah, no, you're bringing up a whole topic that there's such a animosity between PC players, Xbox players, and PS1 players and Nintendo players. Not necessarily, they're more quiet. But there's animosity between all the different consoles and PC. PC claims to be the best, just purely from a graphical standpoint and things like that. And then Nintendo, not Nintendo, PS and PlayStation and Xbox, all they have their own rivalry. It all depends on where you want to stand and what game system you like, but they're all pretty much the same. They're all video games.
Well, yeah, I mean, I can't tell the graphic differences if I'm looking at Xbox, PC, or...
You can't see five inches in front of you.
If it's big enough and bright enough, I
can. So video games, yes, they are all, I would say, yes, they're all video games, regardless of whether they're on PC or something else.
Would you consider a game... we'll say Angry Birds. Mm-hmm. Is that a video game or is that a mobile game? Do mobile games qualify as video games?
Yeah, absolutely. I would think so. Anything with a screen is a video game.
Yeah, I mean, I would classify them as a video game.
Right. Yeah. As long as you're staring at a screen and it's entertaining you in a game way, then yeah, it's a video game. The last, not the last, but one of the other systems that I haven't covered yet is the PlayStation. And like I said, there's rivalry between the Xbox and PlayStation. Now, I'm an Xbox person. I've always been an Xbox fan. But if I were to pick a PlayStation game, it would be Grand Theft Auto 2. That was definitely one of my top games. In fact, that was close to one of my favorite games. Top down, looking at the guy running around the street, stealing cars and stuff.
It's a great game.
Grand Theft Auto 2?
It just, all the Grand Theft Autos, it just allows you to be a delinquent without the ramifications of being an actual delinquent.
Yes. They are a lot of fun.
I mean, who doesn't love running up and smacking a hooker with a crowbar and stealing her fake mink coat?
Yeah, that brings up lots of fun back in the day. So that Grand Theft Auto, so it's a great game. And that's pretty much all the games that I've covered. I mean, there's so much to it. I could never isolate it down to a particular game that I really thoroughly enjoyed and is top game. You have to look at it in different genres and different game systems and different consoles and game systems.
Would you consider pinball a video game?
Pinball,
where you got the silver balls and the flippers?
Oh no! I mean the where you go to an arcade and there's a pinball machine.
Yes.
No, that's a pinball game.
Okay, I just wondered.
Yeah, no.
I wondered where the line was drawn. I would agree, it's not a video.
You're not looking at a video. You're looking at
a pinball game.
Yeah. You're looking at a physical thing with balls and flippers.
Right.
The usual stuff you like looking at on Friday night.
Yeah, balls and flippers.
But it's part of the same group of things. It's entertaining.
Yeah, enjoyable entertainment.
Your pinball wizard.
Yeah, the deaf, dumb, and blind kid sure played a mean pinball. That's the Who song.
Is that the song? Yeah, the pinball wizard.
Yeah.
Um,
It's a pinball wizard. He has to. Wait, how's it go?
I don't know.
I don't know. I don't
I
need
never
to,
listened to it.
I don't need. I think I already sang on this episode. I don't need
You
to do
did.
it again.
Yeah. See ya, Ashley.
Oh yeah, slow ride. That's what I was singing. Fog hat.
So yeah, no. So I think the last thing I wanted to talk about this. I don't know if you had any more discussion, but where the future of gaming is going. I mean, I clearly have to bring in the
VR goggles.
yeah, the VR, the Oculus. And you kind of covered that in the beginning, where you said you play Madden and you feel like you're part of the game, and you feel like full of you feel like you're really enjoying it, and you're part of it. That's what you get from Oculus. Oculus gives you that, and you've tried it, but you haven't really played it.
Yeah, I mean, I played some of those, the basic games that came with it, that, weren't, what's the, I guess I don't really know what I'm trying to say. They weren't the most entertaining things. They're fun to do because they're wild that, holy shit, here's my hand and I'm picking up this drumstick or, whatever. I would
The
like
demos,
the demos. That's the word I was looking for. Thank you. I would like to play at some sort of actual game.
So there's a football game where you are a football player and you can throw the ball.
Do you have this game?
No, I don't have it right now, but I can get it. And you throw the ball to other players who are running around. They're in their own VR helmets, and they move around on the field. And apparently, the graphics aren't great, and we aren't there yet with VR where we can have amazing graphics. They are moving along pretty quickly. I mean, the Oculus is the first wireless headset that we've gotten is pretty impressive for what it is right now, and it's paving the way for future VR headsets. But yeah, you throw the ball, and then obviously it's using physics and everything as any physics engine would. And if you throw it to the guy and put enough effort into your throw, that ball's going to go to the guy, or going to go further or closer, whatever. Awesome. It's basically football, but you can sit down on your own couch. And,
I'd love to try that.
There's that. There's a ton of other games that are. You need to give it a try and see, because VR it's really impressive with how far it's come.
Speaking of VR, this is completely and totally off topic, but you speaking of VR for some reason reminded me of it, and this goes back to a previous episode that we were talking about with cars. I've got pictures on my phone, but while we were in Arizona, we pulled up behind a driverless car.
Oh yeah.
Yep. It had all the. It said it was a self-driving car in training, is what it said on the back. So you had a guy in the passenger seat with a laptop tucked into plugged into the car, and he's we were at a stoplight next to him, so that's how I could see what was going on. But he's typing in info, and then you got the driver who's there, who does have his hands on the wheel and everything. And but two of them are driving around town teaching this self-driving car how to drive itself. Was
it a what do you call it? The
Tesla?
Tesla, yeah.
No, although there is a Tesla dealership right down the street from Ashley's apartment. Let me look. Let me find.
That's good radio right there.
So the car was called a Pumpkin Cruise. It had no
Pumpkin Cruise.
Yeah, but oh shit! In the picture that I pull up from behind, from when I took it when we were still behind the car, you can see that in the driver's seat there's a big screen, is like a computer screen as well, that he's dicking around with.
Huh. It's quite interesting. Yeah, no, I guess it's kind of like the way the Tesla works, but I don't see why we couldn't get there eventually. I mean, although did you see recently that people have been confusing Teslas?
No.
They've been putting tape on the 35 mile an hour signs, making it 85 miles an hour.
Why?
So they put the tape over the 3 and they make it an 8.
Yeah.
And then Tesla thinks, well, I can drive at 85, and picks up speed and starts driving through 35 mile an hour at 85 miles an hour.
Jesus, I didn't know that.
Yeah, no, that's what's happening.
Jesus. Unreal.
Yeah, so I guess with every technology, there's a potential downfall. You
Yeah.
just got to be aware of it. But I know I'm all for driverless cars. I think that would be interesting. Be fun
Yeah,
to
we've
see.
had that conversation. Not for this guy. Not
Yeah.
at all.
Yeah. Well, if you can take over at any time, then why not? But yeah, so that's video games.
Yeah, I think we covered it pretty well.
Yeah, no, Mike's measly 3 games and my
Whatever.
in-depth discussion on genres and consoles, and I think we know where that went.
You're wrong again.
I didn't say any of your choices were wrong. I don't think there's really a wrong choice. It all depends on the person themselves.
True. I did make best choices.
I mean, some people just like text adventures where they type the words in the screen, and
Yeah.
so it's
Some
all-
people still like Oregon Trail, which was
Yeah,
a
there you
great
go. That
fucking
was a good
game as a
game.
kid.
It was a good game.
I remember
I
we
never
would-
played it, but I would still play it.
We had one computer in our classroom in elementary school, and we would all, whatever, 20, 25 kids in the class, we'd all be fighting to
Yep.
play Oregon Trail.
I remember at my the convent I went to, because I went to a convent. We had a computer lab, and I call it a lab. I don't know what you call it in a convent.
A lab.
We had a three or four, not Ataris, but they were. You would use floppy disks, but it was make such a noise, and it was the whole thing all in one. The monitor and the computer all
Okay.
in one. And you plug the floppy disk in there, and it would make that awful noise when it was loading the game. Yeah. But we would play games like that. Very simple, very educational driven games where you'd have to enter in 3 + 5 = what? Okay, the frog jumps over that. But yeah, no, I remember those days. There were no games that really stood out during that time. But
Sure.
it was a common. What kind of games would you expect?
Yeah.
I think they ended up getting viruses on some of their computers, but it was a good time.
Outstanding.
Yeah, yeah. So I think that's
we'll
our topic.
Wrap this one up.
Yeah, no, I appreciate everyone listening and taking the time to hear what we had to say about video games.
Yeah, and please, we encourage you to tell us what your favorite video games are or were. And to do so, you can get us at Twitter or on Twitter at Lyrical Laxative, or send us an email. We are lyricalaxatives@gmail.com, or
YouTube. You can check us lyrical. Just search for Lyrical Laxatives with a space in there, or find us on Podbeans, iTunes,
Spotify.
Spotify. I mean, you're listening to us on something right now, so you
Yeah.
found us somehow.
Thank you.
But yeah, you can chat to us on the website at wix.com. Just look up Lyrical Laxatives. We'll get the URL eventually.
We'll stop slacking.
Yeah. No, yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks everyone for listening.
Yeah, this is Mike,
And this is John.
and we will see you when the laxatives kick in.
I'll see you then. Bye.